Resolution recognizing Chris Pay as North Carolina Economic Developer of the Year. Chris, would you please join me at the podium? Would you like to join us up here? Family, would your family please come up? Sit up, if you will. Chris, congratulations again. Of course, we've all already done that. We want to do that again. We want to do it in public also. But Chris Pay was named the North Carolina Economic Developer of the Year. That is really strong across North Carolina. This is the entire state of North Carolina. It's my privilege to present this to him, that our Christopher Pay, Monroe Union County Economic Development, in recognition of your contribution to the economic development of North Carolina, June 15, 2016. It's the 50th annual conference at Wrightsville Beach. This is where he was presented this. I'd like to present that to you. Chris. Chris, the council would also like to do a resolution and for you with the great award that you've got there. We felt that this would be the thing that where the city council wishes to express a sincere congratulations to Chris Pay for being named Economic Developer of the Year by the North Carolina Economic Developer Association. Whereas Chris Pay has served as the Executive Director of Economic Development for the City of Monroe and Monroe Union County Economic Development since July 1999. Whereas in his role as the Executive Director, Chris Pay leads a team that provides all aspects of economic development in Monroe and Union County. Chris directs industry recruitment, retention, product development, real estate sales, foreign trade zone, and marketing activities. Whereas in his 17 years at the helm, the organization has achieved cumulative capital investments of $1.8 billion. That's what it be, and the creation of more than 7,000 jobs. That's great. Whereas in 2015, Chris oversaw the most successful single year for the organization with the announcement of $268 million of capital investment and creation of 523 jobs here in this county and city. Whereas the city of Monroe is grateful for personal dedication, professionalism, and contribution of Chris Pay on behalf of the citizens of Monroe. Now therefore, be it resolved that the mayor, on behalf of the city council and all its citizens, do hereby extend to Chris Pay our sincere congratulations on being named Economic Developer of the Year by the North Carolina Economic Development Association. Be it further resolved that this resolution be entered upon the permanent minutes of the city council. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand and called the seal of the city of Monroe to be fixed this 19th day of July 2016. Chris, congratulations again. Thank you. Chris, again, from the City Council of the City of Monroe, thank you for all you do for the City of Monroe and Union County. You've done a splendid job for the years with the figures that we just heard, talking about billions and millions, especially last year, what you brought into the City of Monroe last year. And congratulations again on being Economic Developer of the Year. As I just said to the crowd, that is strong for the state of North Carolina, being chosen as the #1 economic developer. And we're happy that it happened to our guy right here in the City of Monroe, because this, you and lots of other folks in our city puts the City of Monroe on the map. And we appreciate what you do. Introduce your family to me.
Sure. This is my wife, Dana. My mini-me. This is what I looked like when I had hair. Connor. Little Alexa. My mom, Sandy, and Bob, my father.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you folks with us also, and thank you for letting us have Chris most of the time. We keep him out late. But he does a fantastic job. I know you folks are proud of him. We're certainly proud of him also. This time I'd like for his staff to come up. I see them sitting out here. Chris, you want to introduce your staff? I could, but I'll let you do that.
Mr. Ron Nail, Gretchen Carson, Jan Ball, and Rebecca.
This is the staff behind the Chris Pay Economic Developer Man of the Year, and I know they do a great job for you.
This is why.
This is the award. This is why Monroe stands out in the economic development, is this right here, folks. Well, thank you all for what y'all do.
Bridget, do we need a motion to accept that resolution? I make that motion.
Second. Does Alexa want to have a speech, or? Chris, would Alexa want to make a speech, you think?
No.
Okay, atta girl.
Already did it.
Thank you all so much for
You
this.
need it? Yeah, but you need it. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we need
All right, all in favor of the resolution, you done got the count?
it. Yep.
All in favor of the resolution, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That's adopted. Chris, thanks again. That will take us to consent agenda. Harry?
Thank you, Mayor and members of City Council. The consent agenda is used by City Council to consider items that are non-controversial and routine. The consent agenda is acted upon by one motion and vote of the council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda at the request of a council member or citizen with the consent of council. The consent agenda contains the following 12 items. Number 2, acquisition of a used liquefied natural gas peak shaving plant. This is for the purpose of approving a reimbursement resolution in the capital project budget for the purchase, dismantling, and delivery from Westminster, Maryland, the shaving plant. It was decommissioned by Baltimore Gas and Electric. The cost of purchasing, dismantling, and delivering is $759,000. The plan includes 2 35,000-gallon storage tanks, a vaporizer, and some ancillary equipment. The transaction includes the exchange of 5 60,000-gallon propane tanks valued at $200,000 and cash of $559,000. The savings that the peaking plant would achieve is estimated as providing a capacity cost of $53.21 per decatherm a year, versus the cost we have through the existing peaking gas supply contract with Direct Energy for $200 a decatherm. And some other alternatives included that we looked at involve the city buying additional pipeline capacity from Transco from between $188 to $281 a decatherm. And the estimated cost to reconstruct the facility for eventual operation is $3.8 million. The reimbursement resolution provides for the use of the future tax-exempt debt issuance to fund proposed purchase and subsequent reconstruction of the plant. Item 3 under consent, there are 4 budget amendments. First and second of which are for the purpose of accepting donations of $150 from ADTS and $40 from Dave Hauser to be used by the Monroe Police Department. Funds would be used in support of the Police Department's Explorer Group. The third budget amendment is for the purpose of accepting $750 from God's Word Only Ministries to be used by the Parks and Rec Department for summer program activities in several recreation centers. The fourth budget amendment is for the purpose of accepting $1,693 donation from the Police Department Auxiliary Group, and those funds will be used also for the Police Department's Explorer Group. Item 4 under consent is for the purpose of calling a meeting for council to meet with our state legislative delegation at the Monroe Executive Airport on April 17th at 10 a.m. Fifth item is for the purpose of adopting 2 budget ordinances. First is for the capital budget appropriating $295,000 to fully fund the construction of the ATI Powder Facility Substation. The updated project estimate is $895,000, and this will include engineering, foundation, labor associated with installation. Second part of the budget, capital project budget ordinance is repurposing $50,000 from the substation wildlife protection project to support the substation security project. This will allow staff to improve security measures at substations with replacing a passive system with an active system. Item 6 is for the purpose of awarding construction services contract to Dawn Development Company for an amount not to exceed $500,000. Energy Services invited 5 vendors to bid, 3 responded. The services that will be provided via this contract include installation and maintenance of gas and electric infrastructure for the fiscal year. Item 7 is for the purpose of amending the formal assignments of the fund balance to continue funding of these items, and there are about a half a dozen. The first is $900,000 for continuing street resurfacing, approximately $300,000 annually. $750,000 for airport operational funding, at approximately $250,000 a year. And then 3 acquisitions, including the purchase of the EJ building for $420,000, property at 320 Franklin, amount of $225,000, property at 113 Morgan, $410,000, and then the demolition at 2 of the preceding properties, 320 and 322 Franklin, at a cost of estimated $200,000. That totals $955,000 for the acquisitions and demolitions. This leaves an unassigned fund balance amount in the general fund of $1.2 million. This is in addition to the amount reserved by policy of 25%, or $9.8 million, which is an increase for this fiscal year by approximately $1.2 million due to changes in the general fund budget. Item 8 is minutes and reports, first of which is City Council discretionary funds. Council members are provided $3,000 each on an annual basis for the disbursement at their discretion towards items that meet public purpose definition of permitted items that a municipality is authorized to perform. There's one disbursement for the period involving Councilmember Anderson disbursement of $500 to the Monroe Police Department Explorer Group 262. 8B is financial reports for June 2016, and briefly in summary, the unassigned general fund balance as of June 31st was $7.2 million. Total general fund balance is $27 million as of the same period. There are 7 sets of minutes lettered CWI under item 8. And item 8J involves summary of contracts awarded, change orders approved, and city manager's settlement of claims. There were 2 claims settled. The first related to property damage arising from a sewer backup in the amount of $7,000. The second is with the opinion of the city's outside environmental attorney, Keith Johnson at Pointer Spruill, and our city attorney, both of which I accepted, set forth this settlement to end our involvement with the Ward Transformer site. The settlement contributes to the customer's cost for a remedial investigation study known as Ward Transformer Operable Unit 2 in the amount of $9,638. Basically, between 1994 through 2005, Ward Transformer operated a used transformer sales and repair facility for which between 1978 and 1980, the city had transactions with Ward. The site came under a Superfund designation and attached liability to anyone that arranged for disposal or repair by Ward. Also under item J, the number of contracts awarded are 24, totaling $178,000 in change. Item 9 is for the purpose of approving the budget ordinance supporting the purchase of the Inquirer Journal building, or EJ for short, in the amount of $400,000, which includes the purchase costs, environmental reports, survey, and closing costs. Item 10 is for the purpose of reporting, confirming, and entering into the minutes the settlement of the condemnation case involving the City of Monroe, Town of Midland versus Darrell Keith Wayne and Park Creek Limited, or LLC, in the amount of $1,520,200. The case related to the construction of the city's gas pipeline and the value of easements through land that Darrell K. Wayne and others own. Item 11 is for the purpose of approving a change order for work that has been completed in the amount of $133,744 for the replacement of roof decking at the Science Center. The contractor and staff did not follow the purchasing policy process. Essentially, the contractor was not specifically directed to provide a change order prior to commencing the desired work. The work has been completed. Item 12 is for the purpose of approving tax releases for June. There were a total of $4,791.38 of tax releases for that period, which includes changes or reductions in value or for releases of tax bills below $5 minimum tax. Mayor, members of the City Council, that concludes the synopsis of items placed on the consent agenda.
Okay, any questions or comments?
Move we approve.
Have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. We'll go to the regular agenda. Item 13, consideration of use of community development block grant, CDBG funds, from North Carolina Department of Commerce.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Tonight, I'd like to present for your consideration the use of Community Development Block Grant funds. These are from the North Carolina Department of Commerce and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for a building reuse project in the downtown. Specifically for this property here, the Preston Building. This is part of the Downtown Redevelopment Fund grant program. We're applying for a $400,000 grant to make improvements to buildings that are vacant or underutilized and prepare the property to take in new business and be used and address any building code issues. Some of the things that this grant would cover are electrical plumbing infrastructure, upgrade HVAC, water sewer system within the buildings, gas installation or upgrades, Wi-Fi within the building, repair, replace windows, roofs, walls, floors, ceilings, address disability issues or compliance, fire suppression systems including sprinklers, fire separation for mixed-use development, which is required by code, rodent pest elimination systems, remediation of contaminated buildings, and commercial or mixed-use building facade improvements. Also with this, North Carolina Department of Commerce require that all compliance documentation for the City of Monroe's CDBG program be periodically updated and readopted by Council. Staff is recommending Council that we use the CDBG funds from Commerce and HUD for these improvements. And staff also recommends that Council authorize the manager to execute any and all necessary documents with regard to the use of CDBG funds from Commerce and HUD, and that Council approve the Equal Opportunity Plan, residential anti-displacement, relocation, Section 3, procurement, citizens participation, language access, fair housing, and Section 504. These are all required as part of the application and a periodic update. Those are all included in your packets. I'm happy to answer any questions, and the developer and the developer owners are here if you have any questions of them.
Okay, any questions, Brian?
Brian, have all these documents been updated? These said documents that you just mentioned about?
Yes,
they have all been-
we've worked with COG and had them updated, so the ones in the packet are the most recent update.
Is COG preparing the application for this grant for us?
They are working with us on that, yes.
And are there any matching monies that are required for this?
Those will be provided by the owner-developer.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, this is a public hearing. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Is anyone here who would like to speak in favor? Anyone here who would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and take action.
We approve.
Have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? That's passed. Item 14, economic development incentive grant for confidential company.
Mayor Kilgore, Council, Manager Faison. I'm pleased to present for public hearing the request to consider the award of an economic development incentive in the form of acceptable consideration for the purchase of approximately 8.48 acres in the conveyance of said land under North Carolina General Statute 158-7.1 D2. This incentive is intended to induce a capital investment of $7 million by Real Estate Development Partners, LLC. Under the code name Project Roy, we first brought this opportunity to your attention at a closed session meeting back on April the 5th. Your guidance at that time was to continue to work with all parties involved to bring this potential project to fruition. As you may recall, Real Estate Development Partners, LLC, or RED Partners, is a real estate development firm based in Charlotte who has made an offer to purchase an 8.4-acre portion of the former Scott Aviation property located at the intersection of North Charlotte Avenue and West Kroll Street. So you can see here is North Charlotte Avenue, City Hall. Again, it's the portion of the former Scott Aviation facility. The intended use of the property is retail in nature and could include the construction of a 42,000 square foot building that will house a grocery store, a pharmacy, as well as offer exterior fuel sales. The project is expected to create 80 to 100 new jobs. In North Carolina, General Statute 158-7.1D2 defines the types of acceptable consideration in the sale of property for economic development. The city is allowed to accept multiple forms of consideration for the sale of the property, including, but not limited to, cash, prospective tax revenues, sales tax revenues, utility revenues, and newly created jobs resulting from the project over the next 5 years. The city has determined that the value of the property is $636,900. We are asking you to consider an incentive of $61,900 in order to bring this project to reality. The total consideration, again, is $636,900, of which $575,000 will be paid in cash by Red Partners, and the $61,900 will derive from other tax revenues, utility revenues, etc., to the city of Monroe. The final sale of the property is contingent upon the execution of a North Carolina Brownfields agreement between the city of Monroe and the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality. Environmental analysis is ongoing at the expense of the property's previous owner, and we estimate an agreement to be in place fourth quarter of this year. Additionally, the purchase contract does have a clawback provision in case the company does not meet its obligations. The clawback requires that Red Partners shall maintain an average taxable investment of $2.2 million for the equivalent period of 5 years past the date of issuance of a certificate of occupancy. If Red Partners has not achieved the equivalent benchmark as set forth in the contract by the end of the 5-year period, they shall pay back to the city a portion or all of the $61,900. This project has been reviewed and discussed by many departments within the city. As with all of our projects, we have conducted a cost-benefit analysis that shows the project has a 4.33 to 1 ratio over the first 10 years of the project. Based on the documents in the file, I conclude that the City of Monroe and Real Estate Development Partners have complied with all conditions necessary for the conveyance of real property. Therefore, the Monroe Union County Economic Development staff recommends that council agree to convey the 8.48 acres of land for the total consideration of $636,900, comprised of $575,000 in cash and $61,900 in prospective tax revenues, sales tax revenues, utility revenues, and additional jobs resulting from the project over the next 5 years. Once the final purchase agreement is completed, I ask council to authorize the city manager to execute the final sales documents. At this point, I'd like to introduce Mr. Judd McAdams, founding member of Red Partners, who can answer any questions about the project. Judd?
Mr. Mayor, City Manager, Council, thank you for allowing me to appear before you again. I just want to say thank you for the considering the consideration that you're hearing about tonight. I think this will be an important step if we can get this contract finalized, allowing us to move forward and make this project work. We've got a long way to go, but this is a very important first step.
Okay.
If I can answer any questions, I'll be happy to.
Council have questions, comments? Apparently not. Thank you very much for your interest, sir.
Just have a question for Ron or somebody else
Okay.
on the staff. When we discussed this before, I was wondering when the rezoning was going to occur so that the community would know what is going to be put there and have the opportunity to express themselves.
It is. That's another condition in the sales contract. Successful going through the process of the conditional rezoning.
Okay, all right. So the community still has an opportunity to have input into the
Yes.
rezoning?
Yes, very much so, very much so.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, this is a public hearing. Is anyone here who would like to speak in favor? Anyone here who would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and take action. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
We need to, Mayor, we need to approve the zoning map amendment request, isn't it? Is that the one?
No.
Not this.
Okay, excuse me.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed?
Nay, nay.
Have, did you get that, Bridget? One opposed? Okay. That will pass. Okay, item 15, zoning map amendment for property 1 located on Roosevelt Boulevard from GI to conditional district.
Good evening, I'm Carrie Hutchins with the Planning Department. Tonight I'm presenting a zoning map amendment request by Brendan Hennihan on behalf of Southern Propane Service for the property located at 2596 East Roosevelt Boulevard. The applicant is proposing to rezone the subject property from general industrial to conditional district Southern Propane Service. The subject property is highlighted in blue. It is south of East Roosevelt and just east of Old Highway 74. The land use to the north is LD Davis Industries, and the land use to the east is all that. The land use to the south is a church, and the land use to the west is a gas station. The subject property is currently zoned general industrial. The land zoning to the north and the east are currently general industrial. The land zoning is general business to the south and the west. The applicant is requesting the conditional district in order to allow retail sales of propane and propane accessories, as well as retain all the general industrial zoning district uses. The site currently contains a 5,000 square foot building on the site with a paved parking area that has approximately 19 parking spaces. The applicant will use the west side of the property for a 30,000 gallon propane storage tank. It will be enclosed with a chain link fence that will have privacy slats installed, and a new open shed will also be located in the enclosed area. This brick building will be used for the retail sales part. The applicant will also provide an 8-foot landscape buffer along the front of the property that will include various shrubs and trees. The site currently has the existing brick building that will be used for the retail sales and showroom. And then the western section is currently gravelled, will remain gravel. That will be where the 30,000 gallon propane tank will be located with the chain link fence. The applicant sent notification letters to all adjoining property owners within 150 feet of the subject property on May 23rd. And staff also posted the property and sent notifications regarding tonight's meeting on July 8th. The planning board recommends that city council approve the zoning map amendment request to rezone the property located at 2596 East Roosevelt Boulevard from general industrial to conditional district Southern Propane Service, including adoption of a resolution of land development compliance. I'll be happy to answer any questions and applicants.
On the letters you sent out to the property owners adjacent and so forth, did you have any response back?
No.
Had no response back from the rezoning sign or nothing?
Not for this property.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, ma'am. This is a public hearing. Anyone here who'd like to speak in favor? Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close public hearing and take action.
Move approved.
This is one you need to also approve the resolution as well.
Resolution.
That's the one.
Okay.
I will now read the resolution. I move to approve the zoning map amendment request, including adoption of the resolution of land development compliance.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second? Second. I have a motion, second, all in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, that'll pass. Item 16, zoning map amendment for property located off John Moore Road from residential R20 to conditional district. Public hearing on that.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Stywinner, the Planning Director of the City of Monroe, and I'd like to bring before you a zoning map amendment request by Scott Merritt for property located off of John Moore Road from R20 low-density residential to conditional district Dalton's Cove. Just like to orient you to the subject property. It is highlighted in blue. It's located along John Moore Road in between Highway 74 and Old Charlotte Highway, and then also Hickory Grove Drive. The site is approximately 7.52 acres and is currently vacant. The property is zoned R20 low-density residential, and adjacent properties are also zoned low-density R20 low-density residential with some general business and conditional district along Highway 74. Applicant is requesting a conditional district rezoning in order to develop a 24 single-family lot subdivision. The proposed density consists of 3.2 units per acre, with the lot sizes ranging from 10,000 to 10,627 square feet. Once again, the site is located off John Moore Road. There is one access being proposed into the site, and it would be off Hickory Grove Drive, which is a city-maintained street. All the roadway within the subdivision is going to be public right-of-way. There are 2 houses that will front, or lots that will front Hickory Grove Drive, 1 John Moore Road, and then remaining will be within the cul-de-sacs. Since this is 11 lots or more, according to the City of Monroe's standard detail manual, there would be a sidewalk required on one side of the street. So the applicant is proposing a sidewalk from lot 12 to lot 18. Let's see. The property will also have 0.972 acres of common open space, which is approximately 12% of the total area. Each lot will contain 2 trees in the front yard, and of course they will be sodded. They will also have paved driveway with concrete or asphalt. And then the common open space is located here and here. Applicant is proposing a mixture of exterior materials of hardy board, fiber cement, brick, or stone. So there is no vinyl being proposed. So these are, and just keep in mind that the applicant is the developer. There's not a builder in mind. So these are examples of what the homes may look like, but they don't have a builder at this time. And this is another. The homes will be a minimum of 12,000 square feet, and the land development plan.
1,200.
I'm sorry, 1,200 square feet. Excuse me. Y'all know what I mean. The land development plan indicates this area as low-density residential. The maximum recommended density is lots 1/2 acre or greater in size. The proposed use is not consistent with the land development plan because the lot size is less than 1/2 acre. The staff is of the opinion that the use is a reasonable use due to the surrounding area being residential in nature. All adjacent property owners have been notified of the proposed rezoning, and a rezoning notification sign has been posted on the property that is in accordance with the North Carolina General State Statutes. Staff did receive 4 inquiries from adjoining property owners that were seeking general information and did not receive any opposition regarding the proposed project. The planning board recommended approval of conditional district Dalton's Cove, including the resolution of land development consistency. I'll be happy to answer questions, and the applicant is here to answer questions as well.
I got two or three,
Okay.
on the sidewalk, and I know that you said from lot 11 to lot 18, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Is
Lot
that gonna be
12
the
to
only-
18.
Is that the only sidewalk in there?
Correct.
Well, that won't be but but a few feet.
According to the detail manual, residential cul-de-sacs that are 11 lots or greater are only required to have sidewalk on one side of the street. Keep in mind, this is a conditional district. Conditions can be added, but both the city of Monroe and the applicant would have to agree on those conditions.
I'm just thinking that would, I don't know how that would look with 24 houses or whatever you said, 24 single houses.
From
And
this-
from lot 11 to lot 18, have a sidewalk and nothing else in the whole neighborhood. I mean, that just don't sound like it. Maybe I'm not looking at it right, but that's the way I see it anyway. And these houses rent to be rented, or are they to be homeowners?
I will refer to the applicant.
Okay.
I would suspect homeowner.
All right.
Well, that's a good
Well,
question. That's a good question about the sidewalk. I'd like to hear what developers going to, what he thinks
That's
of the
why I
sidewalk.
just stopped. I'll ask the developers on this.
Right.
Okay. Any question for Lisa?
Dalton Cove, that's the name of the housing development, or is that the name of the area already, or what?
That's the proposed name of the project.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Lisa?
Lisa, you say that the minimum square footage should be about 1,200.
Yes, sir.
Do we know what the maximum square footage might be?
The minimum square feet of 1,200 is the requirement. I'll refer to the applicant as to whether they're going to just do the minimum or if they're going to do above that.
Okay, and so apparently our median or medium square footage of 1,800 is no longer going to be applicable to our subdivisions.
This, we followed the conditional district rezoning requirements located within the land development plan that specifies the minimum for the R20 as 1,200 square feet. I think R10, R20 and R40 were the square feet that you're thinking of.
Okay, and the double car carport or double car garages are no longer part of this as well?
2-car garage was a requirement. The applicant chose to do a 1-car garage.
So these include, and now he chose that now we have.
Yeah, I didn't mention, these are going to have 1-car garages. The requirement within our plan is 2-car garages, but keep in mind this is conditional district. The applicant can request to waive from some of the requirements as part of the rezoning process for council's consideration.
Yeah. Of course, I know it'd be different sizes, but what sizes are these lots?
The lots are 10,000 to 10,600 square feet.
Do you have any idea of where they're planning on placing garages? I know the elevations you showed did not give an indication of garage on the front elevation.
I'll let the applicant answer that as well. And I'm not sure if they would know yet since they don't have a builder.
Well, I'm thinking, the lot size is, what you?
10,000 approximately.
Okay, and I'm thinking about the width of a 10,000 square foot lot and where the driveway might be placed and the garage and that type of thing.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Lisa. We will hear from the builder. This is a public hearing. Is anyone here who would like to speak in favor?
That would be the applicant wish to speak?
If you'd like to speak, yes, sir, come forward.
I have some questions.
Yes, sir, come forward if you
Sorry,
will.
I'm Scott Merrick. I'm Merrick Development. We're trying to get this project underway. I've owned this property since 2007, and we're just trying to develop it and make it a worthwhile project for the city of Monroe. Thank you for hearing me out and letting me speak about it. As far as the sidewalks go, I know you had a question about the sidewalks. You know, we've done this numerous times all over the city of Charlotte, and we would like to run sidewalks all the way around, but in the criteria, it was just a minimum. And so that's what our architect did, was just what was required for that.
With a subdivision with 24 houses, though, you go to lot 11, you walk from 11 to 18 on the side.
Exactly.
And nothing
Yeah.
else.
We see the,
It won't even look right.
and we see that, but, you know, our architect had already done the site plan, our engineer had done the site plan on it, so at that time, we were in a rush to get it done before the planning board meeting, so, you know, we have no problems in doing the sidewalk around the subdivision. I mean, we do that all the time, so there's no problem.
And this is gonna be home ownership.
Yes, sir.
No road.
Yes. Oh, no, we want to sell these properties, and, so that's what we're here to do, is to build and to sell.
How many out of the 24, if you know, and I may be asking something you don't know yet, how many would be brick? You have any idea how many?
You know, we don't, we're trying to price this thing out to whatever the market bear, and the market is increasing in this area now, so we're hoping that, you know, we at least get, you know, at least a 50-50 kind of thing, but truthfully, I like a mixture of brick and stone on the fronts of our houses, so that's why we had you know, it would be a mixture of probably all of those. But until I get that builder on board, and typically we shop with the builders and you know, kind of guide him in the direction that the city of Monroe really wants to go to. So that's how we kind of play all that.
And they all have one-car garage?
Yes, sir. We did the one-car garage because in this area and in this, the way we've got it set up is people don't want to spend a lot of time mowing grass these days. They're the, what is that, the millennials? You know, they don't want to spend time mowing grass or doing all those things. So we did the one-car garage, and that kind of fit into the ballpark of where we're at in the marketing scheme, I think, on this. That was the reason, you know, we did the one.
And on the minimum 12,000 square feet, is that probably most of what you're gonna build, or you're gonna have something?
No, I think that's the minimum, you know, I don't think that's a market for that range, you know. There may be a market for that range, but I think we're probably gonna be eaching up into the, you know, anywhere between the 15 to the 18, and, you know, it depends on, like we said, what the market's gonna bear, then is what we'll shoot for, because naturally, we're like anyone else, we wanna make as much profit as we can with all so we can move on to others, but I think that was the minimum, and we just wanted to make sure that we were in that, we had a very wide range versus a smaller range that we had, so.
Okay. Any other questions?
This was, and I asked about the garage.
Yes.
Where are you going to place the garages on these?
You know, I don't have the plans or anything for houses. I would like to see them on the side, but seeing how where we're at, you know, we probably, I would say some lots could have a mixture, you know, like, you know, the ones that broaden out in the back could have a side garage, but probably, to be honest with you, I really don't know, but probably looking at that, I would probably say most of the garages will probably be on the front sides of those. But, you know, with our garages, we like to do the, what do you call it, the barn door garages versus, you know, the metal type look that you would see. So, you know, we're not just going to go in there. We're not going to do vinyl siding houses. That's not what we're about. So we're going to do a nice project for you.
This is a question for our staff. Lisa, what about the requirement, and maybe it doesn't apply to the R10 zone, for the space for 4 cars to park on the drive?
That was a requirement with the 2-car garage, for the driveway to accommodate 4 spaces. I guess the applicant chose to vary from that.
So that's not going to be a requirement for them with the single car garage.
I don't know.
Take in mind, like we said, we are talking about the millennials, and they hate to cut grass. So I think, you know, the wider the garage, the wider the driveway, the better marketing part we would probably have in that. You know, but we do have to have a nice landscaping out there on these houses also. So But, yeah, I don't see a problem with doing the, I'm sorry, I really didn't interrupt, but my mind was thinking.
No, that's fine.
But I do think we would definitely do a wider garage, or wider driveway, so that way we can, you know, accommodate 4 cars.
Okay,
I think that's a must, you know,
okay.
that we would probably, you know, have to do, because of, that it would, you know, definitely help out the marketing of the place.
Lisa, if this was approved tonight, have we got any, come back to be sure we get this sidewalk, or we get this, or get that, or is this a done deal?
And correct me if I'm wrong, city attorney, if they do propose the sidewalk, wouldn't the site plan need to be revised?
Yes, it would.
I mean, I don't have any heartburn, I just wanna be sure we're gonna get what's said we're gonna get.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, I agree with you.
Oh,
Mayor, yes, I'm not gonna vote against this project, but I'm gonna make a motion, we table it till we see the sidewalks and see what the house is gonna look like with the garage and the landscaping. We're about a pig in the poke right now, because I think he'll do it, but, you know, that's not our, we gotta make sure it's done right.
That's why I asked that question, so, whatever.
It's gonna be hard for me to, I'm sorry, but it'd be hard for me to tell you what kind of house it's gonna look like, because right now we don't have a builder. And, but as far as the sidewalk and the driveways go, and even the one-car garage, we can put that in writing, I think. And, you know, we are gonna do the sodding and the trees and stuff like that, but it would be hard for me to come up with a house plan. I mean, I can go online, essentially what we did here, and I can show you what I would like to see out there.
I'm not against your project per se, I just wanna be sure we get a nice project.
Oh, I do too.
A good quality project that looks good.
Definitely.
And that's why I'm asking that question and these questions.
Yes, sir.
And I don't wanna be, I don't wanna be, down the road 6 months now, say, oh my, you know, they're not gonna do this. I want something that we can put our hands on.
Right.
And I'm not against your project, I just wanna get a good quality product.
Right. But if we could do those changes, and I'm all about the table and make sure everything's in writing, because I do contracts a lot, and I understand if you don't get it in writing, you're just taking my word. You don't know me from Adam, you know, really, but I am an honest guy. But as far as the housing goes, to get a picture of what kind of house would be out there, I can't provide that. But I can provide you with written guarantees that it would be sidewalk, driveways, one-car garages. I can promise you that. But as far as the actual picture of the house and what it's gonna look like, and of course sod and trees are already on the plan, you know.
And that would include those materials that Lisa described earlier.
Correct, yeah.
I would agree, frankly, that I'm not an all-brick person anymore either, and I do know that a great deal of high-end developments are going to other material and texture. So stone, stucco, brick, all intertwined and mixed does make for a nice home, especially this cottage style that you showed me.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and I'm not trying to lead this, but I believe that I'm correct that most of the city of Monroe downtown area is R10. Is that not correct? Right. So this is not anything that would be unknown to us from a size standpoint. And as he states,
No, and actually, this is Carrie Hutchins, the planner, her project, and she, after the planning board, there were questions about what the average house size and the value were for the area. The Hickory Grove average house size was 1,066 square feet, and the value was 116,000 approximately. And then the surrounding area from this parcel, the house size was 1,229 square feet was the average, and then the value was about 93,000.
What are the ages
So it
of
would
those
be in
properties though?
keeping.
What are the ages of those properties?
Anywhere from, well, there's a couple 1940, 1947, all the way to 2000 on the surrounding residential properties. And then the Hickory Grove development is from 2000, 2001.
Okay, because a lot of the changes that we made to try to make our subdivisions nicer maybe have been done since those subdivisions ever done, especially with regard to parking. And I understand that you have every intention of selling all of these properties. But we have had developers to come in and start doing the development, and sales didn't go quite as well as they wanted, and the properties would end up being rented, and whatever we have there with the property, we have to deal with as a rental property. So that's always a concern.
We're not in the market of renting.
Well, I understand that, but I understand that, but none of the developers that have come to us before who wanted to sell their properties were in the market of renting either.
Yes, sir.
But the economy required that they get a payment coming in on houses that have been built. And I would like to see a table so that we can refine some of these issues that have come before us. Just a question for the attorney. Can we, with the recent changes to the laws about a General Assembly, or can we even put a requirement on here for the exterior materials?
The changes that with respect to materials would apply really from only in a historic district, so no, I would tell you that you could not.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that's what our friends in the General Assembly did when they took care of the design standards.
Like he was showing shutters a while ago, we couldn't even require.
Well, in this particular case, it's a little different because this is a conditional district. It is essentially an agreement with him. So you could make some requirements, but I think I would be careful with respect to material choices. But if this ends up being tabled and returns, in that meantime, we can determine exactly what extent you could still do this as a conditional district without running afoul of that change in the law.
Well, I'm gonna move we table it and get, some nailed down better. I don't think anybody on here is telling you they're against your project, but we gotta make sure that we get what we think we're gonna get. So, I move we table it to the first meeting in September.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Hear none. All in favor? Any opposed? Hear none. Sir, we want your project, but we just want to get it right.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I have Laura and Matt Brown signed up, and Barbara and Andrew signed up to speak, which we've tabled this. Would you folks like to come and speak on the project?
No, sir. We live directly across from the property, development, and we came to find out what's going on.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure that you did know.
We all have the same concerns we do, so we're not worried now.
I'm sorry, ma'am?
I said we have the same concerns as you, so
Okay.
we're not worried anymore.
Well, I just want to be sure that you had an opportunity, so I do have you signed up. Okay, well, thank you very much. Okay.
I would like to speak.
Yes, sir, if you'll come to the podium and give us your name and address for the record, sir.
Sure. Get that, Matt. Good evening. Thanks for having me today. I'm Andrew Hampshire. I'm the owner of 3211 Valleydale Road, adjacent property to this project. And just get the map up here. I'll show you where I'm at.
Sorry. Are you looking at this or?
Yeah, that would be
For
fine. That
this.
would work.
For this one?
Okay. My property is located right here on Valleydale Road. And do have a couple concerns. It looks like right here he has a stormwater structure proposed. And I do have a little bit of concern with that because along the outside boundary of our property there is a stormwater drain right there that is subject to flooding. And so we'd have concerns with having this stormwater drain here to have a major impact on our property there as well. Of course, we have stormwater drain along the front as well. It's all of Valleydale. drains in front of us too. So I do have that concern. Also, I don't know, I'm not a builder, so 10,000 square feet, I know approximately what acres is. I don't know what 10,000 square feet is on average as far as acreage. Pardon me? Quarter acre, okay. Which is considerably less than most of the property around there. We have one of the smaller lots on Valleydale, and we're almost 0.38 or something like that. We have a kind of a pie shape. But we're one of the smaller ones, but we do have significant area to park, be off street and whatnot. So I would have kind of concerns with parking with the lot size, one garage. It seems to be very high density, and that kind of concerns me a little bit as far as property values in the surrounding area. So those are I'm not per se opposed to the project, but I do have some concerns that how it would impact the outlying area.
Okay, of course, as you heard, we have tabled it, and told us we'll be coming back, and you'll have an opportunity to come back again.
Okay. Now, we will be notified by mail for the next meeting?
Will they be notified? Can you notify these folks again?
Sure, yes, we'll be notified.
Yes, okay. Yes, well, they're gonna notify you again when it comes back up, sir. Thank you. Okay, this, item 16 has been tabled, okay? Item 17, Lake Lee Royal Water Pump Station property damage release.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This item is coming to you without a committee recommendation since the Public Enterprise Committee was not held this afternoon. For your consideration is a settlement agreement regarding damage to our Lake Lee pump station. Back in October, we had contracted with Williams Supply for crane services, and as part of that, a lifting strap broke, and the pump station was damaged in the fall. Fortunately, no one was injured. Through negotiations with Williams Supply, we took the pump station to the repair company of our choice. The cost estimate to repair the damage is $61,312. As part of the process, we identified a small amount of additional repairs that were not related to the fall, and those will be paid for out of the city funded budget. So staff is recommending City Council approve the attached property damage release and authorize the city manager to execute it on behalf of the city. Glad to answer any questions.
Any questions? Hearing none. Thank you, Russ.
We're gonna have to have a motion.
I make a motion that
Yeah, I was
we
coming to
approve.
that. I just hadn't got through that. I asked any question, what any? Thank you, I said, thank you, Russ. Now, do I have a motion?
I make a
Give
motion.
Mr. Moore a choice.
I make a motion that we approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Thank you. Item 18, North Carolina Department of Transportation Design and Build Utility Agreement for Monroe bypass.
That's mine also.
All right.
Council, thank you for the opportunity. Again, this was not coming to you without a committee recommendation for that mentioned reason. For your consideration this evening is a utility agreement and capital budget ordinance related to utility relocations and installations needed for the Monroe bypass project. As a matter of review, as part of the bypass project, utility relocations and installations were required to accommodate the roadway alignment. Over $2.9 million in total city water and sewer relocations were required. And our financial commitments to this project actually can be separated into two categories. First is our obligation to DOT via previous encroachment agreements that the city had signed, and then also specific utilities installations that the city requested via DOT. And the second is the commitment we made in 2004 to Union County as part of the 601 North annexation. So I'm going to cover both of those briefly. So the DOT obligations, the design build utility agreement is in your packet. The city's cost share after negotiations with DOT will be $1,032,383.15. Again, that's out of $2.9 million. So that's our cost share to DOT. These costs will pay for utility relocations along Maple Hill Road, Rocky River Road, that were in the DOT right-of-way via previous encroachments. Additional costs included the water main along Morgan Mill Road, which we had originally planned to do with city staff, but their schedule was so aggressive we couldn't meet that, so we requested DOT do those relocations rather than city forces. And lastly, we've elected to install some strategic steel casings under the bypass, so we'll have utility service to the areas north of the bypass after it's completed. So that is a summary of the items that we're obligated to DOT, and I'd answer any questions about those before I move to Union County.
Okay, and those, this money will come out of your funds, out of your reserve funds?
I have that as a closing with the capital budget ordinance.
Okay, all right.
You want me to cover that now or at the end?
Well, I just wanted to make sure that when you mentioned $1 million, I just wanted to make sure that we knew that the money was coming from.
Let me cover that part now, and
Okay.
then I'll tell you about Union County's part. So back in fiscal 12, 4 years ago, we did establish a budget, came to City Council, and we had a capital budget established for $700,000. That was a projected cost at that time. The reason it's increased is that Morgan Mill piece and also those strategic casings, so that it was equivalent of about $400,000. So we have a capital budget ordinance now for $700,000. In your packet tonight is a capital budget ordinance that we've prepared to add $400,000. I'll give a total project budget of $1.1 million, which will cover all costs, all water and sewer funds.
Emphasize the source of the funds. That was the question, the source.
Yeah.
All out of the water sewer fund. Okay. The last item is the agreement with Union County from 2004. And city staff anticipated that the water line we purchased from the county would need to be relocated when Highway 601 was widened as part of the bypass. Because counties in North Carolina are exempt from those relocation costs, we had the foresight to include a clause in the sales agreement with Union County that would defer the purchase or the payment of a depreciated cost to the county to ensure that the relocation was done at no cost to the city. And I'm happy to say that foresight avoided a relocation cost of $349,000. Our amount that we owe Union County today, the line has been moved, is $43,639, so a savings of $305,000 just by putting that clause, and some change just by putting that clause in the agreement. So we're very happy that that played out. It's 12 years ago, so it's. So to summarize, our recommendation to council tonight is to approve the capital budget ordinance in the amount of $400,000 coming from the water sewer fund. That'll be combined with the previous monies that council set aside back in fiscal 12. And then also approve the attached DOT utility agreement. We also recommend council authorize a 5% contingency allowance for the project and authorize the city manager to make agreement changes up to that amount if needed, and also authorize the city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
Any questions?
I make a motion we accept the staff's recommendations, Mayor.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, it passed. Thank you, sir. 19, ordinance to declare certain property located in Winchester Avenue unfit. Lisa?
Good evening again. This is a petition for an ordinance to declare 405 Winchester Avenue unfit for human habitation and demolition. Subject property is highlighted in blue. It is located along Winchester Avenue and Hill Street. The site is approximately 0.052 acres and currently contains an existing dwelling of 752 square feet. The dwelling is currently vacant, and staff has received complaints and concerns regarding the vacancy and dilapidated conditions. Brian McAllister, the code enforcement officer, conducted an inspection and noted multiple violations of the minimum housing ordinance, and these are just some of the violations. It's not all inclusive, but failing roof, weak, missing, and failing subfloors throughout the house, and then the exterior walls sway inwards toward the interior of the home when you walk on the floors, rotten wood throughout the house, and missing sanitary system. Just want to provide some photos that were conducted during the inspection or taken. Code enforcement officer held and conducted a minimum housing hearing on April 26, 2016, in which lessee Russian heirs did not attend. As a result of the hearing, the code enforcement officer made and entered an order finding said dwelling to be in violation of the minimum housing ordinance and determined the dwelling to be in a dilapidated condition and ordered the property owner to repair or demolish within 90 days. 405 Winchester Avenue has a tax value for the structure in the amount of $6,300. The land value is $11,300. The proposed cost for demolition, not to include asbestos removal, is $7,800. HCB Construction, our licensed general contractor that the city has hired, also conducted the inspection with the code enforcement officer to determine a proposed cost to repair the dwelling, which was $23,610, and that is 50% of the greater than 50% of the value of the dwelling. Due to the condition of the structure and adverse impact it has on the area, staff is recommending council adopt the ordinance to declare the property unfit for human habitation and demolition as submitted. I'll be happy to answer questions, and Brian is beside me to answer questions. And then we do have a couple of the family members that are here tonight for any questions as well.
So have we talked to the owners of the property?
I've talked to two of them, and actually that's what some more the one of the sisters is here to talk about it. Some don't want to fix it, then the two here would like to work on the property.
So this property is owned by several
Heirs.
family members, is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I've been pretty vocal as far as not voting to condemn property, and the reason is because when we do, we take a lien on the property, and then the property is vacant forever and ever, and we can't really do anything about that property. So I think that I'd like to hear from the family to see what they have to say, and if there's any way that we can work anything out. I mean, I don't know what deliberations you've had with the family, but that's something that I'd be interested in hearing.
Did we ever come up with any planned idea or discussion or anything about these houses we take down to the, where we can have an agreement that the city may get the lot or some builder get the lot and put a house back on it? You know, we talked about that. In fact, Mr. Duncan brought it up at one time.
You know, I presented several different options regarding this topic at a strategic council meeting, but after that, we haven't really had any additional discussions, and we titled that as kind of like the land banking program. We did move forward with the budget to approve the housing rehabilitation program and the community development coordinator, which that's currently in the process, but as far as the other program, we haven't had any additional discussions.
Okay. Any more questions from Lisa or Brian?
No, I'd like to hear from the family.
From family, yes. Okay, nothing else for them? Okay. Family, if you would give us your name and address for the record. We just have to have that for the record, please.
Okay. My name is Deborah Hood. My address is 5415 Tucker Phillips Drive, Wingate, North Carolina. And I'm the niece of all the inheritance. This is my aunt, Trina.
My name is Latrina Frazier, and I live at 109 South Branch Street of Monroe, North Carolina. And that was my home growing up before my mother passed away and my father.
How many of you own the property?
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to start counting because
It's like 8 of them.
About 8 or 9 of us.
Have you talked with the other family members to ask them what they want to do with the property?
Well, not yet, I haven't.
Yes, yes.
We have?
We really have. That they can't come together. All the brothers and sisters, everybody want to do something different, but ain't nobody trying to do nothing. It's like that. So it's like, I mean, if Satrina could get help to get a place put down there, but if we could get somebody to sign to give her permission, she could get the house rebuilt. The Habitat was gonna help her to rebuild the house. With the other brothers and sisters not wanting to do nothing, I'm saying I'm trying to help her to get in the house so the house won't be destroyed, that land won't go, that property won't go void, and my grandma's legacy won't go, That's what we trying to do, just get something done, get a house rebuilt, get something rebuilt right there.
Where do your other family members live?
All over. Most of them in Wingate, and I got an uncle that's in Durham, and uncle that's in Charlotte. They everywhere. I mean, all of them in North Carolina, but they ain't all in North Carolina.
Who was staying in the property before it became vacant? I know that somebody was staying in it.
My baby brother was staying in it at the time.
And he the one that don't want nothing to do with it.
Right.
See, a lot of them don't want nothing to do with it. He got like 3 of the brothers.
How long did he live there? Has he lived there?
He lived there long, I'm gonna say about
2 years after my grandfather died.
Yeah, about 2 years.
And when, was it vacant before he moved back into it? Or?
No, my stepfather was still in it.
Okay.
Now, when you say he didn't want to have anything to do with it, are you saying that he wants to just give up his rights to it, or he doesn't want to fix it, or he wants to give up his right?
He wants to give up his right.
Well, the first thing I think we need to do, in my opinion, would be to get with your family members and see if you could work out some kind of agreement where maybe they turn it over to you, or we got to make sure that only one person or 2 people own it, and not 8 people, because you're not going to ever get 8 people to agree on anything.
Yeah.
And have you thought about doing anything like that? Have you taken any steps in that direction, or what?
Well, I was trying, when they first told me about it, okay, by me, it's under this program, a CAP, and I do have a lot of issues with health problem. And so I had talked with one of my caseworkers through CAP, and she asked me, can one of my family or any of my family give me the house, and they can help me, tear it down, rebuild it up through CAP by me being under CAP.
Okay, I'm not sure what CAP is.
It's this I can't explain about what it is. Let's see. CAP is when a person is like disabled and they ain't got no help at this point.
All right.
And they come in, because I do have a CNA to come in every day for me from 9 to 12 to help me. So by me having all these problems, they put me on the CAP.
Okay.
And I talked with one of the CAP lady, and she told me if I can just get my sister or brother to agree with me to give me the house, they will guarantee that they will help me to rebuild the house or do whatever that need to be done to it.
Mayor, I'm familiar with how some of these properties in the city have been handled before. I know we've had properties in the city that were scheduled to be torn down, and the city stepped in and to help make sure that property was maintained on a lot. But we used to do it in conjunction with some of the CDBG monies. I know that we've set aside some monies in this year's budget, I think $150,000, to try to keep from tearing down some of these properties. What I would like to see happen, Mayor, in a case like this is for the staff, the legal staff, and maybe our community development staff, to and maybe even working with the Monroe Union County CDC, who have done these kinds of projects in the past and who are familiar with what can be done to save houses, or when they're past saving, and what needs to be done to try to put another house on the property. I would like for those groups to work with the family and to come back to the council with some type of a recommendation.
If that's a motion, Mr. Jordan, I'll second it.
That is a motion.
I would like to put a time frame on that, by the way.
It's going to. We can get an initial time frame, maybe to just get an update, but it's going to take a while to settle out the air issues. You're not going to get 8 or 9 brothers and sisters plus their spouses and the other people that have interest in that property to come together in a short time frame. So maybe in 3 months, if they can give us an update on where they are in 3 months, and to see if there is meaningful progress being made, I think that would be reasonable.
And maybe to see if we can get the family members, maybe to talk with them, to mediate, maybe to see what they can.
And again, I think that our legal staff are working with our community development folks and working with the Monroe Union County CDC. The CDC has been invaluable to the city in trying to save properties and helping us to, make sure that people have safe and decent housing to stay in.
Councilmember Jordan, I would ask that you would, I think we've obviously set a 90-day request to return back, and in the meantime have City Attorney's Office, the Code Enforcement Division or Community Development work with Monroe Union, CDC, and others, and the family to try to help facilitate this process. The other thing I would ask for your motion is to also continue this, to table this for that same 90-day
And I make that motion as part of the motion as well.
Thank you, sir.
I have a motion.
And a second.
Any other question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. We're gonna see if we can save that to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Good motion, good motion. Item 20, purchase of property on 320 East Franklin Street.
Brian is the deal maker.
We'll see. The deals are at your discretion. Lisa, I'm going to hand this to you. I don't take it away when I leave. Here you go. All right. I'm here to talk about 320 East Franklin. This is the last piece of property out in the 5 Points area that we don't own. This is the public parking lot. This is the shopping center. This is the Future Science Center. This is Ms. Terrell's property at 320 East Franklin. We have tax parcel 09231-234. We have entered into a purchase sale agreement with Ms. Terrell to purchase the property for $206,000. And staff has brought this to General Services Committee. It's coming to you to recommend the purchase. There is a budget amendment and resolution in your packet. The budget amendment is for $225,000. The extra funds are to reflect closing cost, survey, filing, and some environmental, so that we can have those funds available. Ms. Terrell has also requested, as part of the sale, which we have a supplemental sales agreement, she has about 3 homes of furniture stored or in the basement, and she would like to have use of the basement until the end of the year, December 31st. So we've entered into an agreement, as it will be part of the sale, if you approve purchasing, to allow her to do that. Of course, she will be responsible for insuring and those kinds of things. But that should all be in your packet. So staff and I guess General Services recommend moving forward on this. So with your approval.
And that'll be paid for out of the tourism, right?
No.
It'll be paid for out of the city budget?
Yes.
Okay, I see it now.
Yes. I think that was part of the, in your consent agenda, part of this money was reflected in that budget amendment.
Who does the closing? Do we do that in-house or we hire
We
out?
do that in-house.
We do that.
We do that in-house. Assistant City
How much
Attorney
did you say
Duncan
it cost
handles
to do the
that.
closing?
Oh, this is for filing. you know, filing the papers, any kind of cost related to the courthouse, environmental, all of those stuff.
All right.
I move, well, you need a resolution, or you just need a motion that we move forward?
Resolution and budget amendment are in the packet, so I'm requesting those be approved also.
See, I so move.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Item 21, the Willis Towers Watson Beach Mark Study.
Good evening, council. I appreciate you letting us come talk about this tonight. It was, this item was to have gone to the Public Enterprise Committee meeting this afternoon. Since they were canceled, we're going straight to you. This, we want to do a benchmark study and use Willis Towers Watson to perform the study, and I'll just briefly go through what we're trying to do. Figure out how to move forward here. So I've talked with you in the past, we've been losing folks out of the Energy Services Department. Since 2011, we've lost 9 of our journeyman line technicians to other utilities or contractors. Last year we lost 2 engineers and an engineering technician. All 12 of these folks tell us the significant reason for leaving was the pay raises they were getting when they went to the other places.
Did you have any retirements in that?
Ma'am?
Were there any retirements?
We have there's more than just these folks that have left. There's 2 retirements, a dismissal, and a transfer from the construction crews to our engineering group. So there's more folks that have left than just these 9. These 9 particularly left for more things. I want to talk a little, just briefly, about what we're seeing in the operations due to these folks leaving. One, we've lost a great deal of system knowledge and institutional knowledge. The 9 line technicians that left had a combined 275 years of experience in the utility industry. We're seeing that we're going to have to change some work practices. Typically, our line technicians, qualified line technicians, work on energized lines so the customers never see any interruption of power while we're doing repairs or making additions, whatever. We're down to the place where we have very limited qualified folks to work on energized lines, and we're going to see some situations come up where we'll have to take a power outage, de-energize the line to be able to do the repairs or work that we do. So we're going to see more customer outages, loss of productivity for some of our commercial and industrial customers, and a loss of revenue for ourselves because of these new practices we'll have to use. Outage restoration is going to be slow because of the loss of our system knowledge and the fewer qualified employees. And we're impacting the employees that are left. Our line technicians go on call, 2 line technicians a week go on call on Friday and are on call till the following Friday. They have to be available 24 hours a day to come back in if we have an issue. And by coming back in, they've got to have a phone or a radio with them 24 hours a day and be back here within 30 minutes of that call. That call schedule used to be on about an 8 to 9 week rotation. It's down to 5 or 6 weeks now, and you know, we're disrupting their lives more than we used to. Some of our looking into the future, some of the things we see from the losses. One, we're just not going to recover from this in a quick manner. If we hire a new employee with little to no experience in line construction, it takes us at least 5 years to train that person to be a journeyman line technician, and that's being optimistic that they can learn all they need to in that 5 years. When we get a new person too, whether they have experience or not, it's going to take about 10 years to get them to the level that they really understand our electric system and are really efficient at what they're doing. We're going to have reliability issues because of the longer outage restoration times, more de-energized work. We track every year continuity of service. And it's typically 99.999 and some odd percentages. It's going to decrease some, not drastically, but it's going to decrease. Safety is a concern I have for the future with our inexperienced workforce. It's just accidents will be more likely. And I just need to remind you, an accident in the electric industry can result in a fatality. I'm also concerned about the future management of the electric system. The day-to-day operations, we have a manager and 3 crew leaders. The manager and 2 of those crew leaders are of an age that and length of service here that they can retire within 5 to 10 years. In fact, the manager and 1 of the crew leaders can retire in less than 5 years. We need a pool of folks, qualified, seasoned journeyman linemen to be able to fill those positions as they come open. Back in April, I shared some of this information with you. Power Engineering magazine tells us that 50% of the utility workforce is going to be eligible to retire in the next 5 to 10 years. And they go on to talk about the institutional knowledge that's being lost in the utility industry, and that utilities need to be doing something to prepare for the future. Electric Light and Power had a report that 72% of energy providers are having difficulty recruiting new candidates. And again, another Breaking Energy reported that, again, half of our workforce is going to retire in the next 6 to 8 years. And Monroe's falling right into these statistics. 43% of our electric departments is going to be eligible to retire within 10 years. Half of that 43% is less than 5 years. And we're also seeing trouble recruiting folks. In 2012, we had 65 applicants for an engineering technician job. In 2015, we had 15 applicants for that same position. And of those 15, there were only a handful that had any experience that we were looking for. What we want to do is work with Willis Towers Watson, or a global advisory firm. They have extensive utility workforce database that they update every year. Willis Towers Watson would come in, benchmark our energy services positions to their Southeastern utility database. They're going to tell us this position in our database matches up with your position for each position that we have. They would come back to council at a future date, share with you their benchmark findings, and make recommendations to you about what, if anything, we should be doing to adjust our pay plan to help us retain qualified employees. Study will take about 4 to 6 weeks to complete. Tell us it will cost $14,000, and there's funds available in the energy services budget to move forward with it. We're here tonight just mainly to tell you that this is what we're moving towards. The city manager has authority to execute a $14,000 contract, but we'd like to get your support in moving forward with this. And we'd like to know that you'd devote some time in a future meeting to hear the Willis Towers Watson report and discuss it. And if there's some actions that need to be taken, to consider those actions at a future date.
Electric cities pay part of that.
They will provide up to $5,000 of the $14,000. So we're
Of the $14,000.
We're looking at $9,000 from us to pay for the study.
Don, I don't disagree with anything you said. As a matter of fact, I support y'all. I think you do a great job, and I actually agree with most of what you said. The only concern that I had is that the city recently hired a consultant. We paid them thousands of dollars to do a pay study for all our employees. I specifically asked that group about to make sure that we put in all of the organizations involved here, and they assured me they did. So apparently not. So tell me, what's going to be the difference between these people and the people that we already got the information from.
Willis Towers Watson already has the data. Springstead was not able to obtain information from Union Power Cooperative or Duke Power, where we're losing folks to.
And they couldn't get the information, but these people already have it. Is that what you're saying?
So the people you speaking, they've got the information that the other companies could not get?
That's correct.
Makes me wonder how one can get it, the other can't, but that's another story. I won't get
Well,
into that.
This is what Willis Towers Watson does. They have databases on various sectors. Energy is one of them. They do an annual survey of all of the utility companies to obtain.
We probably should have done that to start with.
This is different than what Springstead did too. Springstead came in and did a classification study. They look at positions in energy services and compare them to other positions in the city, and then come up with all these positions within the city ought to be in one pay grade. Willis Towers Watson's not going to do that. They're going to take just the energy services department, each position, and tell us where that position matches their database. So it's a different study.
Specific in nature.
Yes.
Are you making this recommendation to us, Don?
I'm just asking that you support it right now.
Is this a recommendation that you're making to us? So is this something that you would like to see?
Absolutely.
Is this something you'd like to see us do to help you provide the services to our citizens?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we follow the recommendation of Don Mitchell.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none? Okay, Mr. Don. Thank you, sir. We need to find out here what it really is. Item 22 is public comment period. Is anyone here who would like to address the county? Hearing none?
Mayor, before you adjourn, we have one issue that staff wanted to bring up to get council's input on. I'll be brief because I know it's 7:30 and you want to adjourn. We've had a committee, a city board that has a member that raised concern about wanting to be able to attend a meeting by telephone. And while North Carolina law permits electronic meetings, you do not have a process or a policy that allows for that to take place for your boards or commissions or for council. And so what we wanted to do is to come to council and ask, do you want us to pursue drafting any sort of policy? Is this something you'd like to pursue? And if you did, would you like to see it for your boards and commissions only, or for your boards and commissions and the council, or just the council? And happy to talk through the issues with you, but I know time is running, it is getting late in the evening. But I think some of the issues that obviously you'd have to think about is, does allowing it, would you want to place restrictions on how often it could be used? Are you concerned that members would start to attend meetings by phone only instead of actually attending? Do you have concerns with whether or not it is the proper thing to do? Because in certain cases, you've selected these individuals to serve on boards and commissions with an expectation that they actually attend in person. For the council, you are, of course, selected by the voters to attend. Do you want to enable the ability to attend by phone as opposed to in person? So there are many issues to talk about and walk through, but before we even get to really that we want to know, do you want us to pursue coming back to you with any sort of proposals or ideas? If you did want to move that forward with the boards and commissions, we'd recommend taking that to the Citizens Appointment Committee. And then if you want to pursue it with council, we'd recommend bringing that back to council. So we're happy to hear what council would ask us to do, and we're happy to talk through the issues.
So conceivably, none of us can show up for a meeting, we just all get on the telephone.
If you set it up that way and you didn't place limits, yes.
Well, if you do have someone to call in or whatever, how we know who's listed, who's there, who's taking care of the meeting? If you go into closed session, what are you going to do? I'm asking you, Mr. Attorney.
Those are all valid questions. You can't guarantee that the person on the other end of the line doesn't have 2 or 3 people sitting with them. But you'd have to take them at their word. And for a closed session, you'd have to take your, if you do this for the council, for your fellow members, if you do for boards and commissions, that they are doing that correctly as well. But again, it's what council wishes us to do. We'll be happy to come back with anything or come back with nothing if you do not want us to move forward.
If I understand this correctly, that this is one individual on one board.
One individual on one board raised the issue, and it caused us to take a look at the issue because we don't have a specific policy. And Mayor, Councilmember Jordan actually also had a question as well.
Well, no, I was going to tell the mayor, if you're looking for a consensus, I am not in favor of doing anything different than we already do it. I think that is that our boards and commission meetings are important enough for people to take out the time to appear in person. And we've always appeared in person for our council meetings. So, if you're looking for a consensus, I'm not in favor of having staff spending more time on it.
I agree. I'm not either.
Okay.
Well, given that, unless I hear other members say they would like us to pursue it, I'm not hearing that you want us to spend that effort. So we'll accordingly.
You're going to lose a good member of the board, but that's well and good, Mr. Attorney.
It's not that I'm going to lose it, sir. It would be that the city would, and respectfully, I would view it as council is the body that makes the decision of whether or not there would be telephonic attendance. It is not my job to decide if there would be telephonic attendance. If I could wave a magic wand, I would develop holographic technology so that everyone could sit there like, for those of you who've seen the Star Wars movies, when the Jedi Council meets and some of them are sitting by holograms, but we can't do that. So what I would say is that council is the body that makes that decision. If an individual feels that they cannot meet their commitments to a board or commission that you appoint them to, that is that individual's choice.
Any more discussion?
Thank you, sir.
Hearing none, I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion, do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.